Howdy, I'm Trinity, and I'm doing my final project over Homo heidelbergensis. It's a biological anthropology fossil project. Table of contents, first discovery, important sites and specimens, facts, fossil and species facts, connection to the class, and then a short wrap-up. Discovery, so fossil sites and specimens. Some important fossil sites are in Germany, France, and Zambia. There's many other sites found in other parts of Europe and Africa, including the famous Atapuerca, Spain site as well. So important fossil specimens. The first fossil to be found is Mar 1. Arago is the skull of a young male that was found. Broken Hill 1 is the first hominin fossil actually discovered in Africa, and Boxgrove 1 is a tibia. So Mar 1 is a lower jawbone discovered in 1907. Again, it's the first one found. It was found by workers at a gravel quarry, famous actually for other extinct mammal fossils. The age estimation is 400 to 600,000 years, and it was found 24 meters below the surface. Arago, which was actually a skull and lower jawbone, was found in the Arago caves of Tateval, France in 1964. It was discovered with a jack ton of stone tools as well as other mammal bones. It's aged to be 250 to 600,000 years old, and again speculated to be a young male. Broken Hill 1 was a skull. It's actually, I think, one of the more famous fossils from this species. It was found in Kabwe, Zambia in 1921, and again, it was the first fossil of a human ancestor to be found in Africa. It's estimated around 300 years old and has substantial tooth decay, which is actually unusual for the time it lived because the diet then wasn't as saturated with sugars and starches as it is now, so the deterioration was kind of weird. And then next is Boxgrove 1. It's a tibia or shin bone found in England in 1993. The age is debated, but it's said to be around 500,000 years old. The bone has chewing and scraping marks, similar to carnivore teeth marks, meaning the individual was probably eaten. And the bone structure indicates that this specimen had sturdy legs. So how were they dated? They were dated with radiometric dating, basically their position in the earth compared to other fossils of either other individuals, other species, and other mammals, since carbon dating is only really can be done to a certain extent. Alright, number 2, facts about the species. Some discovery facts. Homo hide lived from 200 to 700,000 years ago. They used stone tools like stone axes and wooden spears with points. They were social, they lived as groups and hunted together. They were first discovered in 1907 in Europe. And after discovering some individuals in Africa, it was determined that the African specimens were older, indicating a migration out of Africa and to Europe. Besides the fossils mentioned already, there's around 30 specimens, many found at the site Cima de los Huesos, which we discussed in class. They're known as the first early hominin to live in colder climates, actually, and they even built basic home shelters out of rock and wood to keep, warm during the cold. And they did live during the time of, the first fire usage. Physical features. Shin and leg bones indicate that they could reach heights of 180 centimeters, and they're built sturdy with thick bones. The lower legs were longer compared to early hominins, but still shorter than humans. Skull fossils indicate that Homo hide had large brain cases, and the predicted weight was about 1.9% of the total body weight, which is similar to the 2% that humans have. The skulls featured sloped foreheads, similar to early hominins, but less arched brow ridges compared to them. And they also had wide nasal openings. Lastly, they had shorter jaws and as well as strong lower jaws for chewing, but no protruding chin. The teeth were smaller than early hominins, but still larger than humans. So what did they eat? Homo heidelbergensis were omnivorous, and they were actually well known for eating large mammals, large game mammals. Fossil remains of the large mammals were found at the same sites, indicating that that was in fact what they were eating. The animals had marks from the stone tools that they were using, and like most early hominins, they also ate fruits and vegetation. The evidence is from their teeth and lower jaws, with their strong chewing jaws and their teeth that are larger than humans. How did they behave? Homo heidelbergensis, also like many Homo species, lived as social species. They hunted and lived as groups. Scientists can establish this from the immense number and the size of the mammal fossils found with the Homo heidelbergensis fossils. Another reasonable explanation is the fact that in order to do coordinated hunts, in order to hold stone tools and use said stone tools, they'll need to be able to have 2 arms available, or at least one, and not be on 4 legs, so that they can thrust and cut animals with the stone tools. And as well as with the stone tools, they also had shelters, which they couldn't build with four limbs on the ground instead of just 2. How did they move? They were bipedal. Again, as I discussed with the behavior, they hunted as groups, and they were able to hold and use stone tools. Also, with the availability of stone tools, they had the physical structure of other early hominins that also were bipedal, including the bicondylar angle, the positioning of their pelvis, as well as their feet structure. Connection to class. It's probably pretty obvious, but obviously biological anthropology. We discussed the species and their fossils slightly in class. Not really their fossils actually, but more just the species and the Cimodalus horsus occurrence. But yeah, they're part of biological anthropology. They represent a transition to hunting of larger animals in early hominins, as well as a transition to colder climates. And then tied to archaeology, the fossils relate to the class material regarding fossil dating, figuring out how old they were. And not only that, but the fossils contribute to the discoveries of human impact on the natural world. Thanks. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. And I included primary sources of photos, as well as a primary source discussing the shape of the Homo heidelbergensis cranium and how it relates to humans and other early hominins. My citations and bibliography will be attached to a separate document that the link to this video will be on. Thank you and goodbye.